everybody, and welcome to another edition of Coach's Night Out. We're live at Town Square Social, 145 Public Square in Lebanon, open for lunch, dinner, 7 days a week. Cedar City Brewing Company, also under the ownership of the guys with Town Square Social, is now open across the way at 112 Public Square. You see I've picked up a little swag from Cedar City Brewing. Good folks, Kyle and Cody, who help allow us to have this show every Wednesday night during the high school football season. Our sponsors for this show, as always, Advantage Home Solutions, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter, Kenny Salas and the hometown team of Keller Williams Realty, THW Insurance Services, LLC, Cumberland University Athletics, and the soon-to-be October 8th appearance of Tim Tebow on campus, D.T. McCall and Sons, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookeville make this show possible. Coach's Night Out. We've got it on several Facebook platforms, including the Wilson Post Facebook page, Main Street Preps, Blue Devil Broadcasting, and you can also find this show at my Twitter feed at TB Sports 85. This week, week 7 of the high school football season, we get off to a Thursday start as Mount Juliet plays host to the station camp in a Region 5 5A football game at Roger Perry Field. On Friday, White County at Wilson Central, Friendship Christian at the Webb School, Mount Juliet Christian Academy at Columbia Academy, Watertown at East Robertson, Green Hill at East Nashville, and Lebanon at Shelbyville Central. My guest, always to kick the show off on Wednesday night, Chuck Gentry, head coach of the Lebanon High football team. Chuck, thanks for being here. Blue Devils got kind of back on the right track last week, playing Lincoln County, 38-0 homecoming victory. How'd you think your guys handled coming off a couple of losses and having homecoming and all that other stuff to do with it?
Well, I felt like we played a little better, especially in two phases of the game. We tackled better than we probably tackled all year. I'm not saying we executed great, but we had big numbers. And offensively, anytime you have 450 yards, that's a pretty good night. Got Jalen Abston back rolling. Through the air and then on the ground. And then we wasn't pleased with our special teams, but, I guess anytime you win 38-0 on homecoming with all the stuff that goes on and, good crowd, and only fussing about 3 extra points, and then we should be okay.
You say you tackled well. That's usually a pretty good indication that a football team's ready to go, isn't it?
It is, and sometimes it depends on who you're tackling and in what area. But we kind of went back to basics last week and worked on blocking, tackling, running to the football, getting after it, doing your assignment, and playing team football. And I felt like that we come out, clicking and get them off the field, get us on the field, go down and score. Bobbled the extra point there. But, I felt like that we were focused from the get-go.
You got Jalen Abston, your quarterback, involved in the running game early. He wound up, I think, 8 carries for 77 yards, was your leading rusher. And then he had another good night throwing the football, 13 out of 16, 260-something yards, 3 touchdowns. Talk about Jalen's play.
Well, Jalen will be the first to tell you he wasn't happy with his last 2 performances. I guess you kind of like my golf swing. The more you try to fix it, the worse it gets. And he had a day or 2 of practice and not happy still. And again, we went back working on his mechanics and working on his feet. And I told him, I said, I can get you comfortable pretty quick. And he said, how's that? I said, I'm gonna run you right up the middle, and we'll see how comfortable you are.
Yeah.
You run it up in there, or get tattooed, one of the two. And he broke off 2 or 3 long runs there in the first, and then to a screen pass on 3rd down because of penalty, there to Nolan, and I guess we had about 40 yards to go time. But we did that. We hit Anthony twice on long passes, and his pocket presence and him running around. When we watched film on Monday, I kept saying that that looks like somebody I know.
Yeah.
And you know uh, we forget that he's a high school kid at times,
Sure.
and but he played much better, and I think it made our offense go that much smoother. And I feel like that we as a coaching staff probably helped him a little bit to try to get comfortable and maybe not doing too much with him and putting the load on him more on everybody.
Sean Heath, I want to say 10 carries for 69 yards at 6.9 per. Scored 3 touchdowns. Another productive night from your, I call him a tailback, but he's the halfback in this shotgun offense.
Right. Yeah. Sean's running the ball well, running it hard, seeing it well. He made a really good cut there on the last one that he broke down the sideline.
Got a big hole, if I remember right.
He hit it
going toward the field house.
Towards the field house on the other side away from the scoreboard, and he hit
We're
it.
on the air. We're on the air here, buddy. Somebody else.
He hit it and fast. Got moving, and he's with the corner 1-on-1 and made him miss, and was gone.
A couple of good blocks there at the point of attack. From where I was in the press box, looking down the field, it looked like a gaping hole opened up.
They the right side of the line there did good, and they kind of stunted inside, and we pinned them, and he hit it.
Defensively, you throw a shutout. I'm sure you probably picked at some things that you didn't like, but bottom line, Coach Fry's defense put a goose egg up.
Right, and we talked about it at halftime. They come and asked me and said, "When do we have to sub?" And I said,
"We have to sub. Yeah,
I'll let you know." And when you're playing defense, shutouts are rare and hard to come by in today's time. And we kind of felt like our defensive kids had something to prove and had a bad taste in their mouth and felt like they hadn't played well and tackled well. And when you're out there playing, you don't want to come off the field and see that given up sometimes, because a lot of times, once you start, depending on how we're doing it, you start rolling kids and you get one person out of whack, and they're starting tailback bust one, and it's 38-7.
Yeah.
But I told them at halftime we'll see and we'll go, and if our second team offense maybe would have moved the ball a little bit, we might have went, but we didn't. We were 3 and out or 5 or 6 and out, whatever. Didn't do what we needed to do, so we just left them in and said, play, and if you keep it off there. And again, the goal is just to win the football game. Stats doesn't matter, but I felt like it might help our confidence a little bit to keep those guys out there and let them try to preserve that.
You and Coach Brady substituted heavily on the offensive side.
Right.
Got a bunch of kids in on offense.
Yeah, we got we got down to the 13, 14 maybe at times, and then we also had a combo game on Monday, and we knew a lot of those guys were going to, because it was just sophomores, no juniors. We knew a lot of those guys were going to have to play extensive minutes there, and I told them, your time will be Monday night.
Yeah.
Just hang with us, and like I said, we had kids that were out there Monday night struggling because they weren't used to playing that much, because usually our juniors are helping them and we roll everybody, but Monday night it wasn't that way. So,
and to get those guys some work is important.
Well, if you show up to practice every day, you want to play.
Yeah.
But again, I tell them all the time, Friday nights is not charity. Early in the year, we play the scrimmages and everybody plays. We play JV games and everybody plays and everything. So it's not charity, and you have to earn your time. And at time there's a trust factor there. Can I put you out there on Friday night and you know what to do? We rotated a little more at receiver this last week than we have been, and trying to give kids some shots. And some of them took advantage of those, and some of them didn't. And so it's just you wait for it and work for that chance. But when you're out there, you've got to be able to be trustworthy and know where to line up, how to line up, what to run, and those things. And it's, it's important to be able to know what to do and how to do it when you get there, when your time's called.
Well, and JV sometimes winds up kind of getting the short end of the stick because you can only play as many games as your opponents are willing to play. And there are times when opponents say, "We got 5 guys hurt, we're not coming."
Right. Well, we lined up in the combo game the other night. We had 6 offensive linemen and
Total.
and 4 defensive linemen total, not counting the freshmen. We dressed freshmen, but the goal was to try not to play them because they play tomorrow night at Station Camp. We had to play a few of them, and 1 or 2 of them had to play. But it's just it's different times, different things, and this combo stuff is kind of new. And but JV is always the ones that get the short end of the stick. Sometimes it rains. You don't want to mess up the field. You don't want to do this. All right, we're traveling. Let's get on the bus, ride the wind, practice much. We haven't blocked this defense in 2 weeks, but let's go. So it is a struggle sometimes, but I love JV football because you find football players out there because they're just out there playing, and then you also find a lot about kids.
Have you ever been tempted to, because you got your scout team during the week, is have them run the opponent's plays against the opponent? Because that happened at Lebanon once when I was running scout. We ran something against Riverdale that we ran Riverdale stuff against them right when Riverdale had first opened. Ever have that temptation?
No, we try to run our stuff, but it's very, very limited, very vanilla. And those guys, we put it all in the spring, and then again in the fall, and then you get to rep it, and we executed 2 weeks ago against Gallatin. We executed a screen pass as pretty as it could be, and Andrew Hodge took one, maybe 60 yards, and I told Brady, I said, we couldn't have drew that one up better. And I said, we would run it Friday night and on not Friday night, Monday night, and exact same play call, and they busted it, and quarterback was running for his life. And I said, we didn't draw that one up good, but it's, you never know. But you find football players out there, and it's good to see them compete and do. That's Monday night didn't start well, but we finished a lot better than we started for sure.
Turning the attention to this week's football game, Lebanon travels to Shelbyville Central, and going back and talking to some of our guys, it's the first time in 31 years we've been back to Shelbyville. It was a playoff game. My halftime interview this week is with Coach Medley, Mark Medley, about that time going to Shelbyville when it was a playoff game. Shelbyville was 10-0, ranked very high in the state, and Lebanon ran the guard around against them right before the half and just buried them the rest of the way. We talked about the genesis of that play, deciding, and I think you and I have had this conversation before. It's one thing to have a trick play, but then it's another thing to decide, okay, we're going to run it, and we're going to run it here in a live game and see what happens. And we talk about that. We had a great time today, and that'll be a lot of fun for folks to listen to on our halftime interview. But Shelbyville has struggled. They're 0-5, and they're going through some things right now, trying to get their football team better.
0-5, homecoming for them. Playing a lot of young kids. Coach got the job late. Coaching changed late, and they've had some bumps in the road, but they still have football players. And I'm sure it's a region game, homecoming. I'm sure we'll get their best. But Tommy, we say this all the time. It's really not about Shelbyville. It's about us. When we're playing and executing, I'll play anybody.
Yeah.
But if we're not playing and not executing, anybody can beat us. And again, teenagers are teenagers, and they all have those learning moments. So you try to prepare and do the things, but some of the things, I try to control what I can control, and hopefully we'll go down there not worried about Shelbyville and their record, but hopefully we'll go down there worried about Lebanon and getting better.
Specifically, defensively, what do you think you'll see out of the Golden Eagles?
They're a shade 50, a lot of blitzing, a lot of people within 8-9 yards of the ball, some press man, some different things. So I feel like they will try to pressure us and try to come after us a little bit based off of what we've seen. But that's been their MO so far.
Offensively, what do you think you'll see?
Offensively, they're a spread football team. They like to run the ball. There's a lot of buck sweep stuff. It's their favorite run play, whether it's quarterback, tailback, wide receiver. A lot of buck and inside zone, some zone read stuff. So be very similar to some of the stuff that we've seen from Lincoln County the other night.
Logistically, getting to Shelbyville, getting out of Lebanon, what's involved?
Well, we're riding school buses, and as soon as the buses pull up, we'll hop on and go. I called today, and we talked first time we've been there, and hopefully we won't hit Lebanon traffic, Murfreesboro traffic, and we can get through on down to Shelbyville. But I just told our coaches we'll arrive when we arrive, and we got to be off the field at 6:25. So if we have to warm up in the parking lot, we'll warm up in the parking lot. But we'll line up and be homecoming queen and see what happens.
Looking at my cheat sheet here, we've got our chocolate milk thanks to Shop Springs Creamery, the official chocolate milk of Lebanon Blue Devil football. And because of the good folks at Family Medical Associates and Pediatrics, we're able to provide that chocolate milk for Lebanon football players through the week. The book project, Character Time, that's going on every week. Hartlow Funeral Chapel, John Greer Jr. State Farm, Sellers Funeral Home help make that possible. And then team meals, again, the Feed the Team program. Shop Springs Creamery has stepped up again. Jeff Turner provided the meal for the ninth graders. They are going to do that for Thursday. And then Wilson Bank and Trust, Kurt Baker and DJ Wood, I used to call him DJ, I think it's DJ Wood with Wilson Bank and Trust, are providing both the Thursday and Friday meals for Lebanon High football, and that is very much appreciated.
Very much appreciated. From the chocolate milk to the book study to the team meals on Thursday and Friday. We've had a few conversations this week about being grateful for the things done for us and the way people treat us and trying to be appreciative of that and giving back. So hopefully we've got that message across this week a little bit.
Out of left field, do you know what you're going to wear? You're going to go white? You're going to go white-blue Friday night?
I do not know. They usually tell me that Friday morning, and I haven't asked.
Is that the kids?
That's
some of the seniors?
That's the senior group. They chatted together and go. I have no idea what if I was picking, it'd be white shirts, blue jerseys. I mean blue pants, but we'll see. I let it be a democratic process. I don't control that unless it's going to be nasty.
Well, and the blue is a lot easier to keep clean on those pants.
100%. It makes it a lot easier on myself and Coach Easterly on the weekends.
And quickly, Main Street Preps had a really nice story on Jalen Abston this week. Tyler Palmatier worked up a story talking with you about how Jalen wound up being the starting quarterback at Lebanon, and he was minding his own business in the concession stand line against Hendersonville, and you had to go get him.
Yeah, he dressed maybe the first week, and the next week in practice, he asked me if he had to dress, and I'm like, why do you not want to dress? Everybody wants to dress for the varsity. Why? He said, I can't stand to sit there knowing that I'm probably not going to play.
He's a ninth grader.
And he's a ninth grader, and I said, I tell you what, as long as you're here and you're available in case something happens, because at the time we had a senior quarterback and a junior quarterback. no sophomore quarterbacks, and then two freshman quarterbacks. And so Jalen had been playing with the freshmen and swapping in and out with Brody Hall and taking a few reps with us. And we knew he was going to be a good player. But come around the corner, Jacob Woodard's telling me to come in the training room, which is never good.
That's
and
at halftime
of Hendersonville. And Brees Copas is sitting there, and he's struggling and wants to try to play and wants to try to tough it out. And the doctor's like, nah, I don't think that's and so I said, I'll be right back, Doc. And I went in there and I said, I don't care who, when, where, why, go find Jalen Absent and get him dressed. And I went back in, talked to Breeze, and we decided we were going to, best for him to shut it down and go. And Eli Clemens wasn't starting on defense to start with, but he had came in and really playing our devil position helped stop their option, and he knew whether he was supposed to take the dive or the quarterback and was doing a good job. And I said, well, he's not coming off the defense.
Yeah.
And I said, tackling this big quarterback, he may not make it. He probably can't play both ways. And so got out there, and the very first thing I noticed is they've got Jalen ready. He's everything, but he didn't change his socks. He had on black socks, and I'm like, all right, well, it's too late now. Let's just roll. And so here he is as a freshman, out there. And Brother Darren, I said, where'd you find him? And he said, well, he wasn't in the student section. He was in line at the concession stand. Don't think he had actually ordered yet, or he had ordered and hadn't gotten his food. But we got him, and he come around the corner and said, what am I doing? I said, get dressed. You're playing football. And, a lot of kids at that moment would have been big-eyed and a little nervous, and he just smiled and said, okay, let's go. And so we were flipping him and Eli in and out, and he helped lead us. Eli actually threw the pass to go ahead, but Jalen was the one milking the clock and was out there kneeling on the ball at the end. It's something that he had not even practiced with the varsity. And, it's a good story. And, we had talked about possibly as a freshman, him being our quarterback, but I didn't know his mentality then.
Yeah.
Didn't know him as much. And I didn't want to throw him out there and completely destroy his confidence because, I don't want to put a lot on the freshman. So we decided, all right, Breeze has been starting for 2 years in the secondary. We'll let him play both. Then we moved him from defense just to offense, and then by Breeze's own admission, he played quarterback because we wanted him to. He would much rather been just a ball player and playing everywhere and doing everything. And Eli also, it's a good story. As somebody told me today, it'll make a great Disney movie. And I said, well, they better get somebody handsome to play me if they're going to do that.
Good point.
But it's a good story. When we were talking about the no interceptions last week, I said, well, that's the not the best Jalen story. And he started talking about it, and he said, well, I need to write something on this, and it's just good fun times. But I told him, I said, Tyler, you've jinxed him. We're throwing an interception for sure. And it happened.
Well, 142 without an interception, and maybe if you can go another 142 before he throws another one, that'd be okay.
Well, it'd be perfectly okay.
Chuck Gentry, head coach at Lebanon High, with us here on the first segment of Coach's Night Out live from Town Square Social. Chuck, talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tom.
We'll be back with more after these words. segment, Coach's Night Out. Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland University, with us. Coach's Night Out available on 3 Facebook platforms: the Wilson Post, Main Street Preps, Blue Devil Broadcasting, and on my Twitter feed at TB Sports 85, and all across the Main Street media platforms. Our sponsors: Advantage Home Solutions LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter, Kenny Salas and the hometown team of Keller Williams Realty, THW Insurance Services LLC, Cumberland University Athletics, and it's right on top of us, the October 8th appearance of Tim Tebow, and DT McCall and Son, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookeville. Tim Mathis, our head coach. Tim, a tough one last week against Georgetown, and you probably don't want to get too deep into this, but some things kind of went against Cumberland that we figured out you thought were issues at the time, and the Mid-South Conference officials got back with you and said, yeah, you were right.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, it's a shame those things happen. That in the game of football, there's some things that can happen momentum-wise that can make or break you when you have great momentum starting and then something didn't go how it was supposed to go. Yeah. And there's several of them, then the first half, their touchdown should not have happened. There was a penalty on it, but nobody called it. And that those things matter because it gives them all the momentum going in the half. And, it's unfortunate that happens. It's not, we definitely needed to play better. That was, what we're focusing on this week. The week before, defense didn't play very well. This past week, offense, it was kind of weird. We played well. We moved the ball really well. We just could not sustain drives and put it in the end zone. But, they had more. It was a weird game. They had more 3 and outs than we had. But, really good football teams don't make mistakes. And Georgetown didn't make mistakes. And that's what beat us. But, you don't need the extra help with the beating as well.
I looked and third down was tough for Cumberland. I want to say 4 out of 16, 4 out of 13 or something like that. Couldn't get over the hump and sustain those drives.
And part of that goes back to, a lot of it is shooting ourselves in the foot. We had probably had 3 really big plays that we had penalties on those plays that brought back. They're just, they're momentum and drive stoppers, and you can't have those. No team's real successful when you have 3rd and 20 something.
There's no play in the book.
There's no play in the book for 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20, and you don't need to get behind the sticks again. Playing a really good football team because it's no take. Georgetown's really, especially on defense, they're really good on defense, and you can't make mistakes when you're playing good football teams, and we just kept doing that. But I was encouraged from the Pikeville game to this game how well the defense played. They really played lights out.
You can see some growth in this football team, and you are playing a bunch of young guys. It's a shame you can't speed that process up, but they got to play their way through a lot of this stuff.
Yes, that's what it is. It's going to be growing pains with how they develop. But biggest thing with it is you got to be positive because there's going to be there's obviously some good things happening, but there's going to be some bad things happening. You just got to be positive with them because it's a growing thing, and these reps are invaluable for them because they're was one of the reasons we wanted them to come here. They're good football players. It's just you're taking a step up. Most kids, when they go to high school, if they're coming right out of middle school, they're not great.
Right.
It takes some time to develop. So it's the same type deal. In a perfect world, we don't want to be playing freshmen, but it is what it is. And
some of these freshmen, and going back over something we covered early on, they came here for a chance to play because some other places that were recruiting them had gone through the transfer portal, and their opportunities kind of went away.
Right, and that's and we are. Some of these freshmen we got too are really big kids, really fast kids, and all that. And we're fortunate that we did get them, and we got them because of those. Because in a normal 4 years ago, they probably wouldn't be at this level, but we do have them, and so you take the good and the bad with it. And all you do is just keep encouraging them, keep going, and we're not. I think we're definitely a better football team than we were last year, and I think we're getting better every week. And this game will be a good test for us because we're kind of mirrored. Just they got the University of Cumberland's too deep, and it's just full of freshmen and sophomore. I don't know what happened there, but there's no hardly any juniors or seniors playing on their football team.
That is really kind of out of the ordinary for playing the University of Cumberland's or really anybody else in our conference. The fact that there are so many young guys.
Yeah, I mean that's what they have more freshmen and sophomore playing than we. I mean a lot more than we have playing, and so I don't know. Obviously with the coaching carousel that went on in the off season, They have a new staff and all that, but I was shocked at how many freshmen and sophomore they have on their 2D.
University of Cumberland's in Williamsburg. I think it's a 6 o'clock kick, 5 o'clock our time.
No, 6 o'clock our time, 7 o'clock.
Up there. Talk about logistically traveling. It's a little different going on the road for a 6 o'clock ball game.
It is, and it kind of allows us to do the same day trip too. We'll leave about around 12 our time or whatever to get there to make sure we have enough time to get there, get dressed, taped, and all that. But it makes it a lot easier when it's an evening game that you can make it a day trip. So that kind of helps out.
Not having to worry about hotels.
Not having to worry and do all that. And, obviously budget-wise, save the school a little money as far as that goes. But it's it makes for a long night afterwards. But I don't mind it being at that time. It kind of lets the guys sleep in a little bit and get rest and have. I kind of like it's not a real long bus ride, but it gives them a little time to take a little nap, but then get their minds on the game for a while as well.
What are you going to see defensively from the University of the Cumberlands?
They're a 3-4. The head coach that's there now was Georgetown's defensive coordinator, and he still does the defense. And they're running what Georgetown used to run. Their 3-4 defense, so they'll do that. And they really swarm to the football on defense. They got 11 guys that just fly to the football, and so, but I think they do a really good job defensively as far as getting after it and all that. Despite if they're young or not, they do play really hard.
Offensively, what are they going to see?
It's a lot like what we're running. They're going to. I think they want to establish a run, but they'll throw it out there to their skilled guys to. If we try to load the box, they're going to throw it out there. But they're kind of a spread inside zone type team.
The rivalry with University of Cumberland's, we've played those guys. I got to looking 20-something times through the years. Usually the games have been pretty well contested.
Yeah, they're usually pretty close. And then, I'm sure they've got us circled because, they came to our place. I know they're ranked in 20-something or whatever. I know they were ranked at the time, but we beat them last year, so they probably have us circled as far as, wanting to get that back from. But we played them hard and fought, and it was I think we scored with like a minute left in the game to win the game. So always, since I've been here, they've been just hard fought. They play really hard, and we play really hard. So it's going to be a great contest.
How has practice been this week? We're doing this on Wednesday. Monday, is that kind of a light day for you?
We don't practice. That's our work day, so we don't. So we've had and it's really our two heavy days, Tuesday and Wednesday, and they've been really, really good. We've had some really, really good practices in the last 2 days, which is good and encouraging too. That how our guys are responding to the things that happen. We've had a great 2 days of practice on offense. And we just got, especially on Tuesday, we got back to just fundamentals as far as, teaching, not so much worried about what scheme or whatever we're doing, but getting back to the basics of making sure all our steps are correct when we're blocking and all that. Because, what we looked at when we evaluated the film offensively was there were too many times where it was just one player here or one thing here that we're just missing. It's not we need to throw that out. We're not doing it well. It's just a couple of things, and those things were basically fundamental things where a lineman's shoulder pads aren't square to the line when he's pulling, so he can see the person he needs to be blocking. So we really concentrated on that the last couple of days, and we're trying to worry about Cumberland and not the University of the Cumberlands.
That's kind of a self-scouting thing, isn't it,
Yes.
Tim? That you got to look at yourself. Are we doing everything that we can do?
That's the big. You have to, especially if you didn't play well. I tell our guys this all the time. There's not going to be any growth in our team unless we can look ourselves in the mirror and admit when we're not doing something right. I think that's huge as coaches. We tell our kids all the time, don't point fingers. Same thing as coaches. Well, it's not my position. You got to really. Everybody can do better, and it's the hardest thing as coaches. It's what I try to always stress to the players is you've got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and am I doing everything I'm supposed to be doing? And sometimes it's hard to admit that, okay, maybe I'm the problem, not because I do believe I'm a different type of coach. I do believe most of the kids are going to do two things. They're going to try to do everything in their power to please you, and they're also going to do what you allow them to do. So I think we were allowing some of that bad technique rather than harping on it enough where it doesn't happen. So we got back, as coaches, got back to basics as well.
And when you open the season with a couple of wins, sometimes the mentality is, okay, we got some wins under our belt. We're okay. Let's move on to something else. But going back to basics, as you did Tuesday, Wednesday.
The hardest thing to deal with success is that, we've done this. We're pretty good. It's kind of that used car salesman scenario. I'm going to put my feet on the desk and just smoke a cigar for the next couple of weeks because I've sold a couple of cars instead of just keep selling. That's how you get really successful is you keep working. You can't be satisfied with where you're at. And I don't know that was the case, but it's easy to let it creep in. And that's why I say the biggest thing we can do scouting is look yourself in the mirror and say, are we doing everything we need to do to get it right? And more so than get it right is to get consistent. I think that's where we need to be. My whole goal this whole week that I've been talking with players and the coaches about is for our offense and our defense to play well together. We hadn't done that for a couple of weeks yet. And Pikeville, offense played great, defense didn't play so well. This past week, defense played lights out, offense didn't play very well. You couldn't put points on the board. You look at the stat sheet, and it's pretty darn similar, except for one thing. They had points and we didn't. Yeah. And I don't care how many yards we have. I just want more points than they have is the bottom line, because that's, I don't want any moral victories or whatever. We want to win the football game. So that's all we've been working on this week is we're trying to worry about Cumberland, not the University of the Cumberlands.
I noticed pregame last week, recruiting tent had a good crowd in there. A lot of kids coming to had their parents with them, come in, have a meal, kind of go through what's going on at Cumberland. That's an ongoing thing. You have to stay on it.
It never stops. We had about 40 kids this past week, and there were some really, really, really good ones that were there. And it's a never-ending process, and it's as it's different in a lot of high school and a lot of places. It should be different in high school as far as recruiting goes, but it's the lifeblood of your program, so it can't be unimportant. It has to always be important. And the things that it helps in recruiting too, the things that the school has committed to do with the stadium and all that helps a whole bunch too, because kid, as much as you don't want to say it or whatever, facilities matter. It shouldn't matter at all, because facilities don't win a single ball game. It's the people and the relationships, but they want to go to the new shiny things. That's just the way it is now. If it wasn't that way, you wouldn't see these $500 million buildings at these Division I schools. They want the new shiny stuff, and that's what sometimes it really doesn't matter where they play. They just want to take pictures of this place that looks like that doesn't have a thing to do with winning, but it's important. So it is nice to know that Cumberland's doing that for
Well,
us.
there's a commitment there. The artificial surface is coming for the football field. There'll be a new scoreboard. There's talk of a new entrance area that will really be attractive. And again, steps to get to where you want to be, but that's really going to be nice. And I understand it's going to start in the winter when the season's over.
Right after the season's over, right after Christmas break, they're going to start sometime soon right after that.
Tim, best of luck to you and the Phoenix as you go on the road. Don't forget the Tim Tebow thing will be on campus October the 8th. It's a 2:00 appearance. You can go to Cumberland. Go CumberlandAthletics.com. Go to the ticket link. Tickets are $10. That's a 2:00 appearance. 4:00 is kickoff with Campbellsville. Just don't get too far ahead. Have a good game at University of Cumberland on Saturday.
Thank you. Go Phoenix.
Tim Mathis with us here on the second segment of the show. Stay tuned with us, and we'll be back and close this out from Town Square Social. I'm Tommy Bryan. We'll be right back. me, Brian, on the third segment of Coach's Night Out, live from Town Square Social, open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Cedar City Brewing Company, owned by Cody and Kyle, is open now at 112 Public Square. Give those guys a visit, and I've got a little swag from the Cedar City Brewing Company. Advantage Home Solutions, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter, Kenny Salas and the hometown team of Keller Williams Realty, THW Insurance Services, LLC, Cumberland University Athletics, the October 8th appearance of Tim Tebow, D.T. McCall and Son, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cook for free delivery within 125 miles of Carthage. Keep that in mind if you're looking for furniture. John McNeil, head coach of the number 1 ranked team in Division II Class A, Friendship Christian Commanders, with us. John, good to see you, pal.
Appreciate you having me.
Good win last week. Kind of a slow start against Maplewood. You were leading 7-0, and I heard that you made some adjustments. You found an offensive set that you liked the way Maplewood's defense played against it, and you're able to do some things.
Yeah, I mean, we had some opportunities where we were able to get some sets and really get more people out of the box was the big thing. Got more of their people out of the box and was able to be able to run, especially with Tyson being out. I'm sorry, I can't get rid of these hiccups. They're kidding me. But with Tyson being out, we held him out. You know, it's a big part of the offense, so it helped with the younger running back. Will did a great job stepping in.
Thompson.
But getting people out of the box helped, him because then we were able to really just still get the pass game like we wanted on the RPOs, but also be able to run, in between tackles.
And Weekly ran the ball pretty well for you. I think he had 3 running touchdowns.
He did, and it was off the zone read and the stuff that we were able to do because we were able to get them out of the box. It was Maplewood's very athletic, and we knew that, and they did some things very well. Eric Davis, who does a great job, he's their second year with him. He played at East Harding when they won the state championship there, and went on to play at Vanderbilt, and really thought they were very well prepared and did some things very well. And we just capitalized on a kickoff return we had. We got a bad we were able to take over on a bad snap on their part on punt. So it's kind of funny because when you look at the stats, we only ran 31 offensive plays and scored
55 points.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just I wouldn't say it was a slow start. I just think they had the ball some and they were able to move it and control the clock some. There wasn't a lot of passing going on, so the clock moved. But the last half of the second quarter, it was just boom, 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 boom as far as one right after the other.
The Smiley kid, who was our McChurch Beast of the Week, JM Insurance, Tyler McChurch Beast of the Week, had a couple of interceptions, had a couple of long kick returns.
Had one for a touchdown.
One
to about the 10.
And then played well on the defensive side of the football. Awfully good night for him.
Had a real good night at Kings. He's had maybe 2 interceptions there, if I'm not mistaken. I know he had one, but has really done a good job for us as really a lockdown corner. Feel good with him and Brock at our corners. JJ and Chase Eakes, our secondary, has played well, and that's been big for us.
Were you able to get some pressure up front with your defensive front?
Yeah, we Carlando, and they don't understand how young. I have to tell my coach there, he's a sophomore, but he just turned 15. I mean, he was 14 in the first half of the season, and he's collecting a lot of double teams. He's just very quick off the ball. He had quite a bit of pressure. Our other 2 guys are able to really hold the front down, whereas he's able to get a lot of pressure for us.
Offensively, when we talked early in the preseason, and I saw you scrimmage, you had some concerns about can Friendship become that rough and tumble offensive team? Can you push some people around like you had when in kind of the heyday? And it looks like that offensive front has gelled, and you guys are getting it done.
I feel like we're better. And I guess when I talked to our players after the last season, I guess I used the word bullied, whereas we were the bullies, and this last couple of years felt like we got bullied. So it's the same word as being physical.
Yeah.
Playing out physicaling the other team, and that's what we want to try to get back at least to be in the trenches, physical. Be able to control, and then also condense. I don't think condense is right. What we're running this year, a lot of the plays we're running are off the same blocking scheme, so that makes it easier for them.
Sure.
And I think each week that's helped for them to get better and better.
Well, and that to me shows that as coaches, you figured out what your kids can do, and let's try to. And you've always had the ability to take what you have in the way of players and put an offense together. And I've said this to him and about him before. I've seen him line up almost in the wishbone and run it 45 times a game, and I've seen him throw it all over the lot about 30 times a game. And it doesn't matter to you. You want to get something that can make your kids successful.
I think that's the job of a high school coach. I don't get to, colleges can, if they want to run a certain system, they bring in kids to run that system, and that's fine. And maybe that's good. I mean, we have to, there's times we had Lee Sweeney and had good receivers, and our line was tiny, but we were able to get in the gun and throw it around the park. Then, there was times we were 280 or 290 and, up front, and we didn't have a quarterback. We had a running back there, and we just physically came at you, found ways to unviolent and do things that way. I think that you have to do that. I mean, if you want to be successful. I think this year we've been very fortunate. We've got, Garrett Weekly is really come along and throwing the ball deep, throwing it, being able to disperse the ball. And we got a lot of receivers. I mean, Brock Montgomery, Chase Eakes, we got Channing, Anthony, we got JJ, and then running back, you got Tyson Walcott. So we kind of have what we feel like if we need to run it, we can run it. If we need to throw it, we can throw it. And I think that's something we haven't been able to do in a while.
Walcott has been hurt, or he's been able to play, and you've kind of held him out from that initial injury. But he's a tough kid. He's a wrestler. He's got that mentality. I know he's itching to get back in there. How difficult is it to kind of tell him, let's wait till you're 100% and get you back out there where there's not going to be any issue?
Well, I mean, it's not difficult because I'm the coach. So if I tell him he's not playing. I do like that he's not. He wants to play. And the thing is with it is when he got, I think it was Grace Christian, it was more of Achilles, So,
but you better be careful with it.
And the next week, we thought, okay, we'll let him try. Looked good in pregame. First play, he wasn't sure about it, so I just left him off. That was all he did.
Yeah.
Last week, we said don't even dress, even though the doctor cleared him and he was there. So this week, I told Nathan, our trainer, I said, you take him out on Monday while we're lifting. Come back and tell me, do you think he can run without worrying about it? Came back and said, I thought he looked good. So Tuesday's practice, he looked good, playing defense and offense. And today, I thought he looked good. So see no reason why he won't be on both sides of the ball doing what he was doing before that.
You go to Bell Buckle. Lebanon's going to Bedford County. Friendship's going to Bedford County. You play the Webb School. What about Webb?
I mean, Webb's doing a great job with the program. They built a new stadium. They got turf. It's an unbelievable campus. They'll probably have, if I'm not mistaken, they'll have more kids than we will. They'll have about 50. They have a running back, a freshman that's played his 8th grader. I sure that you wouldn't have guessed him an 8th grader. He's a dude. So, I mean, they're doing things right and getting better. And it'll be a chance for us to, once again, as I tell our players, when we get done with each game, did we get better or did we not get better? And I think I've only been able to say once I didn't feel that way, that we, finished the game, we won it, but I still am not sure that it was Kings.
Yeah.
And it was a travel game. It was, a first road 2-hour and a half road trip. That probably had something to do with it. But after that game, coaches met, changed our practices up, changed the intensity, just changed a lot of things. Instead of going over to the sideline and taking a 4-minute water break, there's no more water breaks. Now, there's water anytime you want it.
Yeah.
But we ain't going over and taking our helmets off and all that. It's in your groups. Just trying to keep the tempo. Feel like our practices have been better last week and this week. So we made some changes to try to get things going a little more.
Numbers, you don't have big numbers. A lot of kids playing on both sides of the football. Are you able to leave some of those linemen on one side or the other, because those guys really go to battle?
Well, I mean, with the low numbers, we really play one way more than you would think, only because we have a lot of seniors. We've got 15 seniors.
Yeah.
So you're talking only – I think only one offensive lineman goes both ways.
That's good.
And that's the same guy that only goes one way on defense. So the other two defensive linemen, they're one way. Both middle linebacker are one way. Outside linebacker, one of them's one way. In the secondary, pretty much all of them. Smiley's one way. So really, for what we have a lot more one way players than you would think.
Are you able to get JV work? Again, you don't have huge numbers. Are you able to get some, I don't know, ninth grade? Are you able to get those guys some
this
kind
is
of work?
the first year that we have not been able to do it. And to be honest with you, it's something that we've prided ourselves on playing JV games. We went up one year to Upperman with 12 players, 13 maybe, and a couple of them were 8th graders we brought up. And they had like 40-something kids, and we ended up winning like 8-6. But I just don't have. I have 10 offensive linemen and 7 are seniors, and the other 3 they play that aren't seniors. So this was just one of those years, and I hate it because they need it, but it's just one of those years we just didn't have enough linemen to go and do that. So I don't like it. Hurt maybe. When the junior high's over, if some of them come up, we may be able to play a couple at the end.
Being ranked, Associated Press has you, I know at least for the last 2 weeks, ranked number 1 in Division II, Class A. Pressure's not a word that I know that you care that much about, but at least some recognition for your program being out there across the state, being ranked number 1.
Yeah, I guess you can look at it. Depends. I'm more of a negative on that. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't know that. I didn't know where everything is. I don't read or do all that. So people have to tell me. And I mean, yes, it's good for the program. It's good for the kids. It's good recognition. We haven't been in that spot in a little while. And sometimes we take that for granted.
Sure.
When you've had success and then you feel like you've kind of been pushed aside with, then you don't get for a couple years. Even if you feel like you're playing well, you may not get the recognition because you win a couple years not. So, I mean, yes, do I appreciate that people notice that? Yes. But as I tell my kids, we've done nothing but win 6 games, and we haven't. I mean that's great, and we need that to be where we want to go and do all that. But at this point, that's all we've done. So if you want to continue every game from here on out, or you'll be dropped off the list pretty quick. Look at the colleges. All of them are shuffling around one week to the another. So it just depends how long you want it to last.
There'll be a good contingent of Friendship folks go to Bell Buckle on Friday night, won't there? Be a good crowd.
I would think so. The only thing that could hurt a little bit is our 2-week fall break starts this next 2 weeks, and we're off next week.
What do you do during that open week, John? Do you practice some?
With the first week, I do not, and I've done that. And I really feel good that we tell kids that's your choice. Go do what you want to do. Get away from it. I feel like that's good. In the old days, I might not have done that. Of course, I got 4 coaches, 5 that played for me, and I told them, Dad, I said, y'all make up stories. Y'all say we practiced in the mornings, came back, practiced at noon, came back at night. I said, y'all make up stories. All that ain't true, But I just think it's good. I really do. So my plans is, and a lot of coaches are doing things. I'm going since golf, we have one golfer that's made state, and it's in Surreal. So my wife and I are going down on Sunday. We have a meeting. My coach he had a anniversary thing that he had planned, and I said go. I mean,
Yeah.
you better make that with your wife, and I'll go and take care of that. And so we're going down on Tuesday night. I was going anyway because my wife and I, and Kim and Jesse. I think you was school maybe with Jesse. I don't know, but Robertson, and we're going to Gatlinburg, got a cabin. So Jesse and I played a little golf, and so we do that. A couple years ago, we went to Charleston with them. So we try to do things and tell the kids, and the next week they better be back because we're off that week too. Now last year we did not go anywhere, and I watched my son-in-law at Lebanon, beat Mount Jewett, and that was a big night to be there with my daughter and granddaughter and watch that. So that's kind of, we tell them to go do what they want to do.
So go to Webb on Friday, open the next week, and then you roll back into the season after that. But the school's on a 2-week break. You got to get them in there and get them practice.
Right. They got to get back. We're practicing the same, afternoons.
Okay.
Then we travel to East Hamilton, which will be a battle, Chattanooga. The next 3 games, Webb, East Hamilton, and then Lakeway, all road trips that we got to make. It's going to be pretty good distance, to travel.
Well, John, as always, thanks for the visit. Best of luck when you go to Bell Buckle, okay?
Appreciate it.
John McNeil, head coach at Friendship Christian, with us as we close out the show. Do we have a little note we need to make about? Let me have one of those. Is that a shirt? Okay, let me have that right quick. We got some shirts. This is Check on the Strong. Mental health awareness is a focus for the month of September. There we go. And we've got these shirts. And Coach, where are these going to be available? Cumberland on Saturday morning. The Wilson County Omegas will have these available at Cumberland on Saturday morning, and all proceeds will go toward the mental health issue. So we wanted to get that on there tonight. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Go to a high school game Thursday or Friday night. I'm Tommy Bryan, and for Justin, I'll talk to you later.